Hey guys, how's it going? This is the lecture on true colors, and it's a very important one as far as I am concerned for you guys because this is one of the most useful lectures that I'm going to give you. So please listen up. And the other thing is, you need to take the true colors test before you watch this video because I want you to be able to, um, I guess, apply whatever I'm saying to you and your color, I guess your top color, and then also to the other colors because the way it works is you're going to get a four color score. You'll have your top color, which is your true color, right? And then your secondary color, which also really affects how your true color is, expressed. Your third color, which is still a part of you because you do have all four of these colors. It's just in varying degrees, right? And then your last color. You're going to find some people are across the board very even. Some of us are very, uneven. I would say I'm really uneven. I have a very high score for blue. Next highest score is orange, and it's very high. Then green is like kind of, middle range. And then gold is barely there. It's like the lowest amount that you can have, which is unfortunate because gold is a really important color. So all of the colors are important and we need each other. We need all the colors. And I would say if you're going to open a business, you should probably be opening a business with a representative from each color. Then it would be, everybody, you'd have everything you need to be successful. So for those of you who are pretty even across the board, I'm jealous of you. I'm kind of working on, I guess, bolstering or improving my gold because that's my lowest color. So I also ask you to take a look at what are your lowest colors and how can you improve those. So my cats are cruising around. I just wanted to, I mean, you can see them, but I just wanted to warn you, they're going to be jumping around and all crazy because it's that time of the day where cats are like partying. The one right here behind me, the side is a Bengal cat. Her name is Kiki. Actually, her name is Anarchy, but she goes by Kiki. So now you know. So let's jump into this True Colors stuff. So True Colors is an assessment that was created by a lady named Carolyn Kalil. The last name is spelled Kalil. And I actually went to one of her seminars like maybe 14 or 15 years ago and got certified to administer the True Colors test. And over the course of using it and just kind of exploring it, I found out that it's actually based off of the Myers-Briggs type inventory, which is, or Myers-Briggs type indicator, excuse me. So it's called the MBTI, and you may have heard of it. It's a very famous personality test that's really widely used across, the country and probably in other countries as well. It's a personality test, and it gives you a four-letter score based on these four different dimensions that Myers and Briggs came up with. One of those dimensions is not really represented on the True Colors test, so I'm going to talk about it now, so that way you can kind of apply it to your results too. So one of the scales on the MBTI is extroversion versus introversion. So the extroversion means that you're really outgoing, you get your energy from being around people, you enjoy social interaction. And introverted is you don't really enjoy social interaction as much. You don't like going out and doing stuff. You'd rather just stay home. And you only want to interact with certain people. You're not really good for interacting with everybody. And you are drained, like your energy becomes drained when you're around too many people for too long. And you need to have some time alone to recharge that battery. So each one of the colors we're going to be talking about today, you can also think about it in terms of, well, there's some of each color that are going to be extroverted and some that are going to be introverted. And that's going to change how that color is sort of expressed in people. But everybody has these things in common that are in the color group with you. It's just not as specific as the MBTI's groups, which are grouped off of these, four-letter codes. And there's 16 of them, and anybody in the same four-letter code as you is going to be really similar to you on basically all areas to a point where it's kind of creepy. But because True Colors is more of a broad test, you may not get that specific a result. And so you're just getting this broad result, like you're in this color and this color means this about you. And most of those things are going to apply to you, don't get me wrong. But you're going to find that other people who are also in the same color group as you may not be exactly like you. And that's okay because there's three other colors that are also contributing to their personality type, of course. And then there's the extroversion introversion thing, which kind of, isn't present in true colors, but is a factor in personality. So that being said, let's move into talking about these colors and what they actually mean. Okay, so we're gonna start with green. And I'm basically just gonna go over the basics of what each color is because I don't want to spend too much time because you can read about it and there's information about it in the email you get that explains kind of what your color is. So I won't take too much of your life. So greens are very intelligent. They're logical thinkers. So they like to think out what's my possible problem? What's my possible solution to the possible problem? So they're thinking ahead, you know what I mean? They're not thinking like, what is my problem now? They're thinking like, what are the potential problems that could happen in the future? They seek to understand the world, so they're constantly like researching stuff online, trying to figure out the answers to all the things that, like all the questions they have throughout the day. Like I know sometimes you'll have a question like, I wonder who invented taffy. Like taffy's really good. And a lot of us may just wonder that and then it'll pop right back out of our brain and go somewhere else. But a green will be like, no, I need to look this up right now. I'm going to stop and figure out, where taffy came from. So you can understand why a green might not get that much done if they're constantly stopping to like research everything that they are interested in learning more about. They like to be competent. They like to, I guess, handle their business. They need intellectual freedom. So they need to be able to do things their own way or research or investigate their own way. And they are curious about stuff and they do want to know about things. They question authority though, and that can be a problem because if you're always questioning authority, sometimes, authority might take that out on you in a negative way. So if you are agreeing, you might want to think about, how can I, still be myself and do what I need to do without making the authority figure here get triggered by me and cause me problems? Greens on their own do push themselves to improve and they really don't care what other people think about them. And I mean this in like a really literal way. Like some colors, it's like they may say that they don't care about what other people think about them, but they really do. Greens really do not care what other people think of them. They just don't care, except for maybe like the few people in their life that they've deemed are important to them. So like maybe their mother, they're like, I do care what my mom thinks about me, but I don't care what my dad thinks, and I don't care what my teacher thinks or what all these other people think about me. They can be really slow to make decisions. So they'll go to make a choice, but because they're weighing out so many options, sometimes it takes them too long to make the decision to where the decision is made for them. They call that paralytic decision making, where you just can't decide. They enjoy intriguing discussions. So these are people who are like willing to argue with you just for the sake of arguing. They tend to focus on the future rather than focus on right now. And they're the type that is going to invent stuff or bring new innovation to our lives. They value communication that is to the point. And it's funny is like I used to really use the same type of communication for all people until I learned about this true colors thing. Now I alter my communication to fit the person that I am emailing if I know them well enough. Otherwise, I just keep it pretty like basic and formal. With greens, I usually keep it very to the point. I would say greens sometimes don't notice when people are not in the best mood. Like they don't pay attention to emotion as much as maybe some of the other colors do. Some people might even accuse greens of being emotionless or like robotic. or even say like, what do you have, like, autistic tendencies or something like that. And just because somebody is more reserved and because they are oblivious of other people's emotional life does not mean that they're autistic. And I'm saying this only because some people really believe that if you just are not super emotive, that means that you have autism, which is not even close to the case. You actually have to be fully diagnosed by a psychologist if you have autism. So if anybody's ever said that to you and you're agreeing, chances are they don't know what they're talking about. Okay. um, Greens like to play. Like they like work that is play. So I would say like a green would really love a job where they get to explore something that they're very interested in. So if they're interested in video games, maybe, coding new video games would be like the right thing for them. Or maybe um, working on aspects of design for video games or just something like that. Or even maybe doing research, market research on what video games would be best for the next generation of video gamers, something like that. They're drawn to more technical types of occupations like IT, but Greens are in a lot of occupations that are not technical. Okay, so, but I guess it depends on what you call technical. So I would say my friends who are green, let's see, one of them is a physicist, and he actually is a teacher here, named Brad Hughes. He is a green. Um, all the math department is pretty much green here. I don't think I've met a math person who isn't, although there is one math teacher I have met that might have a little orange in him. And I was like, ooh, that's different. I wish I could remember his name, but I can't. Um, what else? I would say greens have to research things really thoroughly before they move forward. So right now I'm actually dating a guy who is a green, and I don't want to say it took him a long time to decide on me, but kind of it did. Yeah, like we dated a while before things got serious because I could tell he was kind of like weighing things out. I'm more emotional, so I was like, okay, I just want to jump in. But as I've gotten to know him, I've noticed he does have trouble making choices about stuff. So, like, we've been on the cereal aisle and he's trying to pick a cereal or like cookies or whatever, and it will take him like 10 minutes to pick cookies or 10 minutes to pick cereal. And I'm just like, seriously? It's just a simple decision. But what I've learned is that you got to let people have their process. If I try to rush him, then he ends up picking something that he doesn't want. And then he ends up having to go back and get the other thing later because he chose the wrong thing. So I would say with greens, give them a chance to pick their own thing. And that's the other thing about greens is they don't like being told what to do. So if you have a green in your life, special green in your life, please make sure that you let them do things the way that they do them. It's very important that they're given the space they need to do the research they need, to make choices their own way, to take their time making their decisions. And it's not a big deal. Like, it doesn't matter how long it takes to make a decision most of the time. If it's a time sensitive decision, then it is. But it's up to them to make their own choices. All right, so greens are done. Now we're moving on to oranges. So oranges, what can I say about them? So oranges are actually really full of life, partiers, exciting, center of attention, best collection ever. They're optimistic. They like to live in the now, and they don't worry about the future a lot, and they're not really hung up on the past either. They're the kind of person that'll go through a bad breakup and be like, oh well, it was tough, but I'm gonna get through it. I'll be okay. And they won't really deal with it. They just stuff it and then go do their stuff. They're really competitive people. So oranges are like, I wanna win. I'll beat you, right? Let's have a competition. So they might turn everything into a competition of some kind if they're hardcore orange. They like to be the center of attention, and they thrive on drama and crises because it propels them to action. If there's not a drama or a crisis or whatever, it's like they have trouble motivating themselves to take action unless it's something that they really, really, really care about. I would say oranges are also very susceptible to addictive tendencies. So, like addiction to drugs, addiction to alcohol, addiction to sex, addiction to video games, addiction to whatever it is, any type of addiction. It could be shopping, could be anything. So oranges have that addictive personality. They tend to be athletic. Okay, so a lot of oranges are like our hardcore athletes. So like the entire NBA is probably like mostly orange. They need variety. They don't like the same day over and over again. Like some of us colors, we don't mind going in and having the exact same day every single day because we know what to expect and we could just get through it. Um, Even greens sometimes don't mind having a little, same old, same old. But oranges have to have like it's different every day, something new, something new. So they might go into like sales because sales is a great way to challenge themselves every day and it's a new challenge every day. And they're not going to be talking to the same people day in, day out, maybe like a week or two at a time. But yeah, sales is a great way to, handle your orange personality if you are an orange. Um, they're drawn to jobs that have lots of action in them. So we're talking like doing jobs. And oranges also like to do hands-on stuff. So they would rather learn using hands-on activities rather than a lecture like this one. They resist commitment, but when they do commit to something, they're all in. Okay. And by the way, gambling addiction, another thing to watch out for. Watch out, oranges. Other thing about oranges is they're flashy. So they like to have like, the newest, greatest thing. They're the kind of person that buys like the huge designer purse that's like got the labels all over it so everyone knows that they spent a lot of money on that purse and that it's the newest thing. Or the biggest, best car, whatever it is that they can then get their hands on. They're not super organized. So like you look inside an orange's backpack and it's pretty much a hot mess in there. You might not be able to find anything. Oranges don't use dividers, in their book or in their folders and stuff. They're not organized like that. Organization is a very low priority for oranges. You'll find in their backpacks like some crazy stuff, like from 2 years ago, because they haven't cleaned their backpack since then. All right, so, but oranges are awesome. I would say oranges have trouble sometimes with school, and greens too, and for the same reasons. So let's talk about that. So greens and oranges both struggle with school because school is something that they're told what to do and how to do it from the beginning. Like you have to do it this way, it has to be done this way. Now, school is delivered a certain way. So it's lecture, it's reading, it's assignments. These are things that oranges are not really too keen on. Like they don't like assignments. They don't like reading. Greens might like reading if it's the class they're interested in, but the problem with greens is that a lot of times, even though they're really smart and they're really interested in a lot of different subjects, they may not be interested in the subject they're taking at this particular moment. And some of them can just kind of get by without reading and not doing anything and just kind of barely doing their work and pass. But a lot of them just don't even put out that kind of effort, so they end up not passing or whatever. So oranges and greens both have that problem of they're not engaged because they're not interested in the material. Um, Whereas I think greens are interested in other stuff that is intellectual, whereas oranges are interested in stuff that's more hands-on. Because school is not a hands-on thing for the most part, oranges tend to struggle a little bit more. The other thing that I noticed is a lot of oranges and some greens do have ADHD. I have ADHD, just FYI. So if you do have questions about how to manage ADHD, I will be answering a lot of those questions as we go through the semester because I want to show you some of the tricks and tools that I use to overcome my ADHD or just to work around it. So that way it doesn't cause me a problem while I'm trying to work. But I do want to say that ADHD is something that it's not going to just go away on its own and it's not going to get better unless you seek treatment for it. So there are medications and things that will help if you truly have ADHD. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as the semester progresses, okay? I promise you we'll get back to it. So next we have golds. Golds are dutiful and stable. Like these are the people that you want working for you. So like if you have a company, you definitely want like a couple of really great golds to help you run the stuff that really matters, like billing and paychecks and, just those administrative types of things that require a lot of responsibility. Golds are extremely responsible and they're good at being punctual. So they don't like to be late with things. So with things like payroll and whatever, you want someone that really cares about punctuality because you don't want your payroll going out late. And you don't want to bill late either because you won't get any money. So it's important that you have some golds on your team. I would suggest also hiring some oranges and greens too, and also blues. A little bit of everything is the spice of life. These colors all work together synergistically, and we all need each other, okay? So next we've got um, golds like to be self-sufficient. They don't mind being told what to do in terms of we're training you, but once they're trained, they want to be able to just perform their tasks. They don't want to constantly be micromanaged. And I think a lot of people feel like, who wants to be micromanaged? Do any of these colors want to be micromanaged? Probably not. But golds are extremely sensitive to this, so be aware of that if you have any golds in your life. They value organization and punctuality. So if you work for a gold, like your boss is gold, you better be on time every day or you're going to get fired because golds value punctuality. Whereas if you have an orange boss, you could probably roll in 5 minutes late and they're not going to have a problem with that. They schedule their whole lives. So golds use day planners. And actually, you guys might be wondering what color I am. I think I mentioned it already. I'm a blue primarily, and then orange, and then green. Gold is my last color. And you'll notice this is the organizational color. So I had to really work hard on building up the color that I was having, the least of, I guess. I had the least of that color. So I had to work hard. So does organization come naturally to me? No, it does not. It's something that I had to look to people who are gold and say, how do you do this? What is your secret? Okay, so the time management system that I'm going to be teaching you in this class is actually designed by a bunch of golds and a green. So you'll be able to really see how it works in its entirety for anything. I'm going to give you a very, I guess, in-depth time management system that you can use, or you could just use pieces of it. So it's one of those things where you just want to take what you need and leave the rest, but do learn how to do the whole thing so that way you can implement the other stuff if things get really crazy for you later in life and you're busy. Because this is something that's actually useful that you can use as long as you remember how to use it, right? Golds are goal oriented and goal directed. So they have goals set for themselves, and what they do each day is going to reflect some of their goals. So they're going to be working towards things that they want for themselves. And sometimes those are financial goals, sometimes those are personal goals. It doesn't really matter, but goal setting is another thing we're going to be covering heavily in this class. So awesome, right? Golds value rules. So they're the kind of people who actually enforce rules and create rules. And golds are actually the people that create rules too. Like if you've ever had a job at a company where they're like, here's your manual that talks about what you're supposed to do in your position. You're like, whoa, there's a manual? And then you think about it, it's like someone had to write this manual. Who wrote this manual? It's a gold. Golds write those manuals that tell you what you're supposed to do at your job and what you're not supposed to do. That's like your responsibilities. You're like, your responsibilities include, and has this long list of stuff that you're supposed to do and I just think that's fantastic because it's so helpful for someone like me who isn't super organized, right? Golds are the kind of people that are inclined to join groups that stand for things that they believe in. So I would say maybe political groups or things like that. They are preparing for the future right now. So they are thinking about in 10 years, where am I going to be? Will I have enough money then? Am I saving enough money now? They like structure. So they're the kind of people that would prefer to have a routine. So they like having the same things happen over and over again because it's comforting and they know what to expect. Now, I have an aunt who's super gold, and she has the kind of routine where every day of the week, at any given time, I can tell you what she's doing because I've been around her enough to kind of know what she does with her time. And every week it's the exact same thing. So every Tuesday she goes and eats at like it used to be Marie Callender's. I don't know what it is anymore. It's a different restaurant. I can't think of it. But yeah, she just goes to the same restaurant every single week. It's kind of boring, but whatever, if that's what makes her happy. She also has such good credit because she pays her bills on time that they told her that she could buy a car even if she was homeless and had no money in her bank account and didn't have a job. I was like, what? That's crazy. I can barely just, my credit's like okay. I mean, it's better than okay, but it's not great. So I think we're all different in those ways. Golds like to be in positions of authority, and I think they like to work their way up. So they have, people who are underneath them, and then they can manage those people. Golds make pretty good managers because they're pretty fair and they have a lot of structure. But if you're a orange or a green working for gold, that could be pretty challenging because they would expect you to be on time and to do things their way. It might not be so comfortable for you. What else? Golds really enjoy order. So, like, they'll have their home neat and clean in a certain way. They probably have a schedule of how they keep their house clean. Like, I clean this on this day, this on that day, or I clean all my stuff on Saturday. But they have a plan, they know what they want, and they keep everything in its place. I used to mess with my aunt by walking by her office and just moving her paperweight like 1 inch to the left, and she would walk past it. She wouldn't even walk in the room, just walk past the room in the hallway and be like, oh, who moved my paperweight? And I was like, damn, how did she? It was like mysterious to me. I didn't know how she could tell because I could never tell someone moved something half an inch on my desk. I couldn't even see my paperweight on my desk. All right, so blues. Let's talk about them. Blues are extremely emotional. So people say they wear their heart on their sleeve, meaning their emotions are so obvious and apparent to everyone else, like they're so emotional. But I don't always find that's 100% true for all blues, but it's true for a lot of blues. Blues really desire to be acknowledged and respected. And we can tell, so I'm a blue, right? We can tell when you're feeling down or you're feeling upset or if you're happy about something, if you're tired. You don't have to tell us with words. We could just look at your body language and the look in your eyes and tell what's going on with you. We like to give gifts, like we're very giving, and it may not even be your birthday, and we'll just give you a present just because we saw it and it reminded us of you, right? Blues are in search of themselves and kind of searching for their meaning in life. They like to feel unique and special, which I can attest to that. I do like to feel unique and special, and I am unique and special. They look for symbolism. They like to be true to themselves, and they have very close relationships with other people. So I find this all to be very true for me. I actually have my oldest friend. We met when we were 4 years old, and I'm in my, early 40s, and we are still friends. We don't see each other a lot, but we see each other once every year or so. But we keep in touch on social media and stuff like that. And then my other friends that I've had for a really long time, I met in college, which was over 20 years ago. So, but we're very close still. I still hang out with those friends all the time. So it's kind of cool to have friends that are it's a lifelong thing. The thing with blues is like I will be there for you for your entire life. That's why I say to you guys, like it doesn't matter how much time passes. If you need something, let me know. Hit me up. If I can help you, I will. I usually can't help financially, but I can help in other ways. Okay. What else? Blues are about expression, self-expression, meaning it's really important to be able to just be you. I think a lot of blues are poets and writers or appreciate, good music, good books, good poetry, stuff like that. There's a lot of oranges who are musicians and also greens. You don't see as many golds as musicians, but there's a ton of creatives in the blue department. So we're talking like artists, musicians, writers, just anything creative that you could think of is definitely a blue thing, very creative. Um, they are okay with compromising and cooperating with others. And I would say like blues are more likely to go with the flow as opposed to saying like, no, it has to be my way. It's like, no, it's cool. We could do things everybody's way. The only way we're gonna like demand that it's our way is if it's a necessity, like if there's no other way. Like for example, I have food allergies. So like if you're like, let's go to this place and it's like full of my allergens and there's nothing I can eat there, I'm gonna say I'm sorry, I can't go there, but maybe we can find a different place that we both can go. But with other stuff that, it doesn't matter. I'd rather make the other person happy and give them what they need than take everything for myself, if that makes sense. Um, Blues are very nurturing, so they like to help others. So I kind of feel like that's true of me because I'm a teacher. I want to help others, but I do that in my personal life too. Like I always have people in my life that are not necessarily friends, but they're people that I'm kind of helping or coaching to get them to a different place of their life or helping them through a difficult time. So that's true. Blues are cool sharing their emotions, and I would say like I'm cool. I'll cry in front of you. I don't care. I'm very comfortable with the full range of my emotions. And a lot of people are like, blues are too emotional, and they can't handle their emotions. No, no, no. That's not how it is. So the thing is, like you other colors can't handle your emotions very well, but blues handle ours just fine. That's why we're comfortable expressing them, showing them, talking about them, helping you talk about them, because we're totally comfortable with them and we have the ability to get through our negative emotions. So, yes, we feel things like way more intensely than other colors, but because of that, we have a stronger capacity or a higher capacity for managing emotions because we've been managing strong emotions for such a long time that, you know, when you see like a blue kid, yeah, they probably are still learning how to manage stuff and it's going to take them a little bit of time before they feel comfortable. But by the time you get to be an adult, you get to be pretty good at managing that stuff. Um, Blues are really adaptable and they are nurturing. So they look for careers that are like for nurturing type of people. So things like social work, psychology, um, you know, even like police officer, teacher, things like that, where or nursing, where you're kind of just helping those other people. That's what blues are about. Blues are also really high drama, and I know it doesn't say that in the materials, but I'm just gonna tell you, it's just they just overlook that because blues are really drama. Like I've seen blues create drama, and they'd be like, "Whoa, created some drama." Then they go in and fix it, and then they take the credit for fixing it, even though they're the ones that caused it in the first place. So, one thing you should not do to a blue is ignore them because ignoring a blue, especially if you've been really attentive and then you just stop responding, you're going to get a very negative reaction or a nuclear reaction. It's really extreme, and I know this is true for like all blues. It's not just me. It's like all blues. Like you ignore them when they think you should be responding. Even if you have a perfectly good reason or excuse, you may find that you're in the middle of a really serious, like emotional outburst. So blues tend to make their or make their decisions based on their feelings. So like a gut feeling, like my intuition. So intuitive decision making. Excuse me for just a sec. There we go. So anyway, I'm going to move on now. I think I'm going to give you like one thing you shouldn't do for each of these colors. So for greens, you should not tell them what to do or how to do something, okay? Oranges, you definitely should not tell them what to do or how to do something because they don't like that either. Golds, you should definitely acknowledge them when they do something positive. So like they're the kind of person where if they send you an email, you should respond. Even if it doesn't require a response, you need to respond to let them know that you received it because otherwise they'll freak out that you didn't respond. So you need to make sure that you follow up with golds, okay? And then with blues, like I said, don't ignore them, please. With golds also, you shouldn't mix up their stuff. Like, I don't know. I used to mix up my cousin's crayons because she's gold. And she would have her crayons, like, she would spend like good 45 minutes putting them all in the right order, right? And then I was so mean when I was a kid. I decided I'm gonna just mix these up. So I mixed them up when she wasn't looking, and then I just kind of waited for her to open them, and wow, she got so mad. So, and I got in trouble, but it was kind of worth it at the time, like to see her get that reaction. But at the same time, like looking back, kind of cruel. So that is the True Colors, and now you know. And honestly, you can use this stuff every day. So the way I use it is, of course, I kind of know these colors the ins and outs pretty well. I've practiced using this in action, like in my life. But a good way to start is just to test your family and kind of see which colors they are, what their results look like, so you can kind of compare them to yours. I kind of found that I was the only blue in my family, and I was like, no wonder I'm so misunderstood. I'm surrounded by greens, and I'm surrounded by greens. I had 3 greens in my family, and then me. That's why I get along with greens so well, because I was like surrounded by them. So, and then a lot of my extended family are all gold. So there's only a couple blues in my family, and I'm like, how did I become a blue? And like, yeah, but hey, we are who we are. So your family's a good place to start. But then once you get kind of good or better at, figuring out which color is which, when you're just out and about. Like I went to the DMV the other day. My son just got his driver's license. We were there for 5 hours, so it wasn't very fun. But what I was showing my son is how to use True Colors to help give that person at the DMV whatever it is that they need. So we came across a lady she was kind of like sassy, I guess, and kind of telling people what to do and how to do it, bossing everybody around. And we could tell that she was a gold. So we were like, okay. My son, actually, because he's been paying attention, said to her, wow, you are so organized. Thank you so much for helping us. And she was like, thank you. She was so happy that someone recognized that she was, on top of it. And she actually let us like go on his drive test like a little sooner than we should have been able to. She let us not cut, but like we went to the line that had less people, whereas she was probably going to just send us to the other line where there was lots of people. So I think this can really work in your advantage if you can kind of figure out in life, what does this person need from me? Here, I can give it to you. And if you can give each color what they need, then it's more likely that you're going to get what you need out of the interaction as well. So hopefully that will be helpful to you. You have a fantastic rest of the day, and go out there and start figuring out what colors your family is, and then start thinking about what colors are my friends and people online and people I meet at the bank, or just try it and see how it works for you. All right, bye.